Welcome, everybody. This is the Jamez Report. I am your host, Mr. Jamez. You can call me Mr. Jamez. You can call me Jamez. It doesn't really matter, just as long as you get the letters right. How you all doing this fine day? Listen, I took some time off. If you look back on my page, I got some older videos. Please feel free to check them out. But I took some time off to reflect on my life, to reflect on a couple things. You know how life is. You got to take some time back and time to reflect on a couple things. So that being said, what's this really all about? We're going to be talking about wrestling. AEW, WWE, it doesn't matter. We're going to be talking about AEW today because I just finished up watching Fyter Fest Round 2. I haven't got a chance to watch the Great American Bash second night yet. I'm going to get to that, and there will be a second video to follow this one here shortly. Now, that all being said, I will have some godly messages. So if you're a Christian or you believe in God, I will have some godly messages and some videos on that as I feel fit to do so. So I wanted to make sure that's very clear. So here we are. We're outside today. I'm doing this outside. I didn't want to wait. I was thinking about doing it inside, but I said, you know what? It's a nice day outside. Let me find a nice shady tree, and I'm just going to give you some of my thoughts about this Fyter Fest because, Fyter Fest, it was filmed outside, so why should I not give the report from outside? So we're going to start this off right away. By the way, I'm not going to get in last week. The only thing I'm going to say is I do feel like the Great American Bash was better than Fyter Fest last week. This is an AEW video, but I'm not going to ignore the fact that last week I felt like the Great American Bash was better. I really enjoyed the strap match that Dexter Loomis and Roderick Strong had. I really enjoyed that match. The main event with Asuka showing up to make sure Sasha Banks lost the match against Io Shirai. I apologize for butchering the name, Io. If you see this video, my apologies. Please, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. Don't come find me. Don't come hurt me. I'm just a little peon out here, you know. Now, so let's get that out the way. That's out the way now. So let's get into Fyter Fest. Right off the bat, the first match of the night was the AEW tag titles, which is right now held by Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page. Now, regardless of how you feel about this Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega tag team, they are 9-0. They showed that on AEW, and they talk about it. They are 9-0. And yes, they are winning a lot of matches. They are proving themselves to be good tag teams. And, the Private Party, they got Matt Hardy in the corner when he's not playing the broken Matt Hardy, So when Matt Hardy, the normal Matt Hardy, if that's what you want to say, he is trying to help Private Party get to the next level and coach them and show them how to be a good tag team. And let's face it, Private Party does have some Hardy Boy type of traits and Hardy Boy type of skills, not to say the least. Now, I like Private Party, and no disrespect to that tag team, but this was one of those matches that I knew Kenny Omega and Hangman is going to win. The only way Hangman and Omega is going to lose them titles is when they finally do break. And they're not going to make these guys tag team partners forever. So those of you who like Kenny Omega as a singles competitor, those of you who like Hangman as a singles competitor, just be patient a little longer. It's going to come. I can promise you right now it is going to come. And so it ain't happened yet. So this match, it was a solid match, though, nonetheless. As you can see that there's stuff going on up in here. But it was a good party. It was a good fight, nonetheless. It was kind of like a party. The teams were out there having fun, and it wasn't great. It wasn't bad. It was a good, solid opening match. It was a great, solid opening match, to say the least, in my personal opinion. Obviously, Omega and Kenny would go on. Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page would go on to hold down the fort and hold on to them tag team titles just a little bit longer. Next, the second match of the night was Lance Archer versus Joey Janela. Now, I don't know how you feel about Lance Archer. I don't know how you feel about Joey Janela. Me, I'm not a big personal fan of Joey Janela. Me, I'm not a big supporter of his. I think he has a lot of potential. I just think he's still really immature inside the ring. A couple of his matches, he does have some flaws where he makes mistakes. And listen, I know mistakes happen in the ring. So I'm not saying that if you have a mistake, you're a bad wrestler. What I'm saying is, there's still some greenness to Joey Janela. There's still some immaturity inside the ring to Joey Janela. He's not really found who he is as a wrestler yet. You hear about these legends talking about finding who they are as the legends. Lance Archer knows who he is. When he walks out to the ring, he knows who Lance Archer is. He's been in the business for a while. He wrestled over in TNA. He's wrestled in New Japan. He's been wrestling for quite some time, so he's already got himself a reputation. And though I've only watched Lance Archer on AEW, I've never seen him in any of these other areas, other businesses. But I knew who Lance Archer was. I knew the hype. I knew he was a popular wrestler. And when he came to AEW alongside Jake the Snake Roberts, which I think is a fantastic pairing, by the way, this match has been building up. Joey Janela's going with "I Don't Feel You." Lance Archer just came off of a big loss to Cody Rhodes, and for the TNT Championship. So it was that nice way to make Lance Archer look strong and show the type of character that Janela really is. And you know that Janela and Sonny Kiss, regardless of how you feel about Sonny Kiss, I'm not going to get into that. Don't want to get into that. They're still a superstar. They're still an AEW superstar. He's still a wrestler. He still deserves the respect of a wrestler, regardless of how you feel about his personal life and personal choices. Please don't share that type of hate on my page. And I greatly appreciate that. Now, it was a great way to open the match, though. It was a great way to open that match because when Joey Janela comes out, Sonny Kiss ain't nowhere to be found. So you know it's going to be one-on-one besides Jake the Snake being outside the ringside. Lance Archer comes to the ring, and he has that little countdown where it's 5, 4, 3, 2, and when his music's playing, he comes out with Sonny, where he just whooped the snot out of Sonny backstage, and he throws Sonny into the ring. Sonny rolls out. It distracts Janela. Janela comes running after Lance Archer, gets taken out, and this was another pretty good, actually solid match. Something I want to point out, and something I really noticed, that Lance Archer, when he first started out, Jake the Snake did a lot of the talking. Jake the Snake was a lot in the spotlight, building up Lance Archer. And as them two has been in AEW more, Jake the Snake went from being up front, take this hand as being Jake the Snake, and it slowly began to reel in, kind of taking that give and take where he's letting Lance Archer, because Lance Archer's not bad on the microphone. He's letting Lance Archer kind of take more of the spotlight. And I really appreciate that, and that's a veteran move, because a manager should never outshine the person he's representing. And I'm going to get into that just in a little bit. So Lance Archer's really showing what he is capable of. Was it a great, technically sound match? Absolutely not. Was it a horrible match? No. But it was an entertaining match. And that's really what it comes down to in the world wrestling business anymore. Yes, it's about the wrestling. It's about the storytelling, because the storytelling is what keeps us as fans entertained. And I was entertained by this match. I was entertained by what Lance Archer was doing. I was entertained by what Joey Janela was doing. So it was a great match, and I really enjoyed what they're doing. I don't think that storyline is over just yet. You have to excuse me just a second. If you're going to be outside out here in the country, you got to have a mason jar for sweet tea or water, and I chose water because there ain't nothing greater than a glass of nice water to quench that thirst. Now, I think this is a storyline they are going to keep going with. I do think this is a storyline that they're going to keep pushing. I don't think it's over just after this match. If anything, now I think you're going to see Sonny Kiss take more of the spotlight, and Janela's going to take back. And you might even see such a thing where they may both face Lance Archer in the future in a handicap match. So that all being said, this is a lot of potential going forward with this. If they continue this storyline, which I really hope and think they will. So I think it's great storytelling by these two wrestlers in the AEW business side of things. Also, Taz, after this match, Taz would reveal what the big secret was that he was going to reveal, which is his FTW championship, which was Taz championship back in ECW. Was it an officially licensed championship? No, but it was Taz's championship. And this is what I was talking about, and I want to go on about this for a little bit longer, if I may, which I'm going to because it's my channel. So, if you guys want me to shut up about it, just leave it in the comments and say, you talked about this too much. But here's the thing. Jake the Snake and Lance Archer. You just heard me explain that. Jake the Snake started off in the spotlight. He pulled back. Lance Archer's in the spotlight now, which is the way it should be. Taz and Brian Cage Both started in the spotlight, but as this rivalry with Jon Moxley has went on, it's like Taz, and this is going to be my manager hand, is moved into the spotlight. So far into the spotlight that I'm not even sure if it's Brian Cage versus Jon Moxley anymore. I'm starting to think it's going to be Brian Cage on the side on the outside, while Taz faces Jon Moxley at the next week's event. Which you have to excuse me is the Fight of the Fallen event. I almost went brain dead there for a minute. I almost had a brain attack. It almost feels that way. It almost feels like Taz is going to be the one challenging Jon Moxley for the championship. They need to let Brian Cage, and when I say they, I mean Taz needs to take a step back and let Brian Cage have more of a presence. But at the same time, it's up to Brian Cage to have more of a presence. The wind just blew my paper a little bit. That's what you just seen at the Flash. Don't worry, I'm all right. Nothing's happening. But Taz needs to step back and have Brian Cage, ladies and gentlemen, step forward so you can see. Yes, he's a big built dude, but what else does he have to offer? I know he was in TNA. I knew he came from Lucha Underground. His microphone skills are not great, so that's why Taz is with him, and that's great. It is a good pairing. But Brian Cage and Taz need to figure out how to get Brian Cage more into the center of the spotlight for this upcoming event. You can't have the manager outshining the talent he's managing. Otherwise, you get confused and think, oh, Taz is really going to do this. Last week at the first night of Fyter Fest, what Brian Cage wear? He wore black and orange. That's Taz's collars. This week, he gets Taz's belt. For the love of God, I want to see what Brian Cage has to offer. I know who Taz is. I know what Taz has to offer. And that's the thing. I know what Taz has to offer. I want to see what Brian Cage has to offer. What can Brian Cage say on the microphone? The only way you're going to get better on being on the microphone is by being on the microphone. Yeah, you might get criticized for it, but you need to be on the microphone. Say something at the end. Do something at the end to make me go, okay, Brian Cage is a serious contender. Because as of right now, Jon Moxley's walking in AEW champion, and he's walking out AEW champion because Brian Cage ain't got enough fan support or heat behind him to knock Jon Moxley off of the mountain. Maybe I'm wrong. He may knock him off the mountain, but to me, he ain't got enough momentum to hold that championship. And, with Taz being Taz, Taz has to realize as the veteran to say, look, I'm going to let you take the spotlight. I'm going to say a couple things, but I mainly want this next interview to be mainly about you. That's what I think Taz really needs to do. But I digress. I'm going to take a step back from the whole Taz situation. I'm going to take this moment to plug in that spot. How do you feel about Taz and Brian Cage? How do you feel about the comments of what I've had to say so far? Leave that comment. Hit that like button if you're liking this video. Hit the share button to share this video out there. But most importantly, hit that subscribe button so when I continue to make videos, you get first dibs. You get to see it. It's going to pop up on your phones. And hey, the Jamez Report is live now. Check it out. Check out this video. And like I said, if you read the description, this video stuff, yes, I may be the host, but this is for you, the fans, wrestling fans in general. I don't care if you root for AEW. I don't care if you like WWE. I don't care if you hate one or the other. I don't care if you like both. I like both. I want to hear what you have to say. Did you like Fyter Fest? Do you think Taz is taking too much credit? Or are you saying, no, Taz is doing just fine? Let me hear what you have to say. And I promise you, if you have questions, I will respond. I will get back to you. If not, I'll put them in a video, even, responding to your questions. The next match number 3, which this match, by the way, could be argued as being the match of the night. I put it as being the match of the night on AEW. Now, is it better than the Great Bash? We'll see when I finally sit down and watch it. And that's the thing. I like to sit down and watch it as a fan, and both as a commentator and to understand what's going on behind the scenes so I get a better understanding. The next match was FTR and the Young Bucks versus the Butcher and the Blade and the Lucha Bros. Now, I am a big fan of the Lucha Bros. So I'm going to get that out the way right now. But I'm also a huge fan of FTR. So this was something that I like seeing. It gave both tag teams a chance. Lucha Brothers have been gone due to this coronavirus stuff. It gives them a chance to enter back into AEW. The Butcher and the Blade enter back into the tag team mix. It gives all these teams something to do and to entertain the fans. Now, this match was confusing at times, it was chaotic at times, and it was sloppy at times. But overall, it was a very good match. It was an entertaining match, which is what's really most important here. And let me tell you something. If you know where FTR came from, they came from WWE as the Revival. They was a very underrated team at WWE. My opinion, they was probably one of the best tag teams that was not being used right at all at the time when they was with WWE. One of the last matches they had was against the Undisputed Era on NXT, and boy, did they ever burn down the house. They burned that house down. You talk about a tag team match that should go down as an instant classic, and I believe it will. It was that match right there. The Revival, now known as FTR, woo, child, they are the real deal. And teaming them up with the Young Bucks and the Lucha Bros and Butcher and the Blade, all these tag teams are veteran tag teams. And I'm going to tell you right now, it did not disappoint in any shape or form. Like I said, there were some sloppy moments, there were some chaotic moments, but if any of you guys are watching this video wrestle now, you wrestle in the indies or whatever, you know that no match is perfect. And for those people out there saying, oh, well, they had this mistake and that mistake and this was exactly as planned, whoopee flippin' do. Did anybody get hurt? Did anybody get injured? Did the match still entertain you? That's what matters. The match was still entertaining. The match wasn't, and it showcased all four teams' specialties. All four teams got to shine in this match. It wasn't just FTR and the Young Bucks, which sometimes the Young Bucks have a habit of doing that, where it's more about them as a tag team and not the team that they're going against. And I want to take this time and say that I really appreciate Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone, and Excalibur on commentary. They are the most entertaining commentating booth, in my opinion, right now out there. Anyone who knows good old JR knows that he is a legend. Tony Schiavone was always an underrated talent and on the commentating booth during WCW. I'm telling you right now, this was an awesome commentating by these guys. They're not afraid to tell you when, they talk about the 10-second count as a tag team. Or if you got, instead of having 4 or 5 seconds where you're allowed to be in the ring, the AEW allows you 10 seconds as the person, as it's not the legal man being in the ring. So it allows some cool stuff to happen. And there was a really cool spot in this match. And I just got to tell you right now, when I don't know if it was Nick Jackson, I think it was Nick Jackson, was on the outside of the ring, FTR, Pentagon Jr. was outside the ring, and his brother was inside the ring, and he does this flip over and power bombs Nick Jackson into the crowd of the rest of the tag teams that was outside the ring. They caught him. It looked natural. There was nothing forced. It didn't look like it was all planned where everybody was standing there. Because sometimes you see it, and I see it in WWE a lot, where they just stand there looking up at the sky and just waiting for it to happen because somebody took too long showboating. It was just very natural, and it happened very naturally. So then we had a nice little kind of promo with Big Swole. For those of you who don't know, Big Swole and Britt Baker, Dr. Britt Baker, as she likes to be called, she's injured right now, but they're finding a way to keep her during the show. And I love her and Tony Schiavone's interactions. I really love how they work together. It's funny. It's entertaining. She had Big Swole suspended, saying, hey, you can't come in to Fyter Fest tonight. And, she got very real. It felt like a very real moment. Like, how many of you have ever been fired or suspended or laid off at your job, and they just wait until you get there to tell you, where they could just give you a phone call and said, hey, you don't need to come in today. And that's what she said. She's like, hey, next time I drove 3 hours here. Next time, why don't you send me a fax? But I don't know who uses fax anymore, but you get the idea. Or send me or call me or something so I don't drive all the way here knowing I can't be in the building. Next time, just call me. So that was a really good. And this is storytelling. One thing I can say about AEW is they really struggled at the beginning at storytelling, but now they're starting to get better at storytelling. And I really appreciate what they're doing as far as the storytelling goes. The next match would be Nyla Rose. They saying that she had a big announcement tonight that she was going to make after her handicap match. Had to excuse me, I was feeling a little parched. So, Nyla Rose comes out in this handicap match. It's a squash match. It was two wrestlers that I haven't seen. Maybe they was on AEW Dork. But they come out, and Nyla Rose beats them pretty quickly. They show her dominance once again, and once again, I don't care what your opinion is outside of the wrestling world. This is not anything more than talking about wrestling. I don't care about their personal beliefs. I don't care about the personal affairs. I'm not going to downgrade someone. I'm not going to bash someone based on their personal life. I'm going to talk strictly about what they're doing inside the ring, what they're doing inside of storytelling. And Nyla Rose said that she sees all these other big, bad people getting managers and they're getting championships, talking about Brian Cage getting a championship because of Taz already. So she said that she is going to get herself a manager, and already has a manager. She hired herself a manager, but she don't feel ready to tell us who it is yet. So my question is, this is something else you can put in the comments. Excuse me, who do you feel, or who do you think, or who do you want to see be Nyla Rose's manager? I've seen a lot of Vicky Guerrero's, and that makes sense because Vicky has been shown on AEW. Vicky Guerrero has been a manager. Vicky Guerrero has been a general manager with WWE. She's the type of person that, she won't outshine her competition. She comes out here with the excuse me. I know it ain't exactly right, so Vicky, if you've seen this, I'm sorry. Tell me how you do it. Does it come from the chest? Does it come from the stomach? How do you get that whole squealy voice type of thing? That you get, but you know how she does it. So if anyone knows who Vicky Guerrero is, and I say Vicky Guerrero, that's the first thing you think of. It's kind of like the Paul Heyman. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman. It gets you attention. I think Vicky Guerrero would make a nice alliance, a good manager for Nyla Rose to have, to be straight up honest with you. So I want to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on that. Who do you think it's going to be? Who do you want it to be, for that matter? And let me know in the comments. You get a little conversation going about it. Now, match number 4 was Colt Cabana, Stu Grayson from Dark Order, and Brody Lee from the Exalted One, going against SCU. Now, this has been a rivalry going on with Brody Lee and SCU for a little bit that they haven't really addressed too much, actually. So it's kind of like a full circle thing, but they're trying to get Colt Cabana to join the Dark Order. Colt Cabana went from not really trusting him to now he's kind of trusting him, and they showed him in the trainer's room. He's all black and blue, said he had like a hernia and all this stuff, but the doctors felt good with him being able to compete, but he was all purple, black, and blue. Pretty sure it was makeup that was on there, but it looked pretty gosh darn realistic, to say the least. And Colt Cabana, let me tell you something, you talk about a man who can sell, he was selling that injury. And this was another very solid match. I don't think there was a bad match tonight, to be honest with you. I don't think there was a very... If you were going to pick one, I would probably say Lance Archer and Joey Janela, but we already had that conversation. And I would say that is the worst match of the night. I'm not saying it was a bad match, but it was the worst match probably of the night. That being said, though, that this match, obviously they're wanting to put over... And by the way, I want to say this right now. I want to... they're going back. I want to go back and get to this actually real quick. During the FTR match in the Lucha Brothers, everyone was always predicting the Young Bucks and FTR was going to win. I predicted it. I figured that FTR would find a way to get the victory. But instead, they gave the Lucha Brothers getting the pin over the Young Bucks and giving the Lucha Brothers and the Butcher and the Blade a win, which is very big, and it made all the teams look strong. No team looked weak, and it gave the Butcher and the Blade an important win, because the Butcher and Blade, as good as they are, they don't win a whole lot of matches, and that comes in the business of being a heel tag team. But that being said, I wanted to make sure I got that out there and tell you that I really love that. I really thought that was a very nice surprise, and it's something that I haven't seen in the comments where people were very upset about it at all. As a matter of fact, that people loved that it surprised them. It was a very good surprise to let the Lucha Brothers come back and get this win with the Butcher and the Blade. Bring back the Bunny, Butcher and Blade. If you can get that done, just bring back the Bunny is all I ask. I think a lot of people was asking for that, not just for eye candy. I think she just went very well with what you had to offer. And it gave you guys an extra element to use to your advantage. Now, that being said, on to this Colt Cabana and the Dark Order match versus the SCU. They had Evil Uno out there, which I love Evil Uno. I think Eva Uno and Stu Grayson as a tag team is awesome. I don't know how I feel about Brody Lee just yet. I know they're trying to kind of make fun of the Vince McMahon angle and things like that. And if I was going to say anything negative about AEW in this video is that I kind of wish they stopped taking them subtle shots at WWE. Just kind of do your business. Prove who you are. You've always shown who you are. But continue to be who you are and let the fans decide. Stop throwing them subtle shots in there. Stop doing things like that. Just be the wrestling organization that you are. And success and the money and all that will follow because of the fan base. That being said, this was a very good match. Another solid match. Wasn't great, but it was very solid. One of the elements I really liked was they had Eva Uno and number 10 and the other more prominent members of the Dark Order standing outside up on the stage at ringside. And, normally you think, okay, they're going to interfere in this match, but that was not the case at all. They did not interfere in the match. Actually, they just stood there, but you could tell it was there to shake SCU, and it did a very good job. When Christopher Daniels was in the ring, he would look up as they just stood there and watched, because any minute, you got to put yourself in a position in the match. At any minute, they could come down to the ring and interfere, but they didn't. And Brody Lee hits his finisher, and instead of pinning him, he tags in. He has Stu Grayson tag in Colt Cabana to get the pin. This is a very interesting storyline because me personally, I wasn't feeling the Colt Cabana character, and I really starting to like this Colt Cabana new look of things, where he's kind of with Dark Order, but he's really not with Dark Order, but he's learning from Brody Lee, but he's not following Brody Lee, and he started calling him Mr. Brody Lee, which is what he wants to be called, Mr. Brody Lee. Kind of like how I want to be called Mr. Jamez or Mr. Jimes. If it's easier for you to say, you like that better. It can go either way. So it is that, and this is a storyline I really like to follow. I really believe, for me personally, that the Dark Order is a very promising tag team, a very promising stable, if they handle it correctly. I really want to see them win the tag team championships because I believe they can do so much since they got so many people in this stable that they can do so much with them. Mainly Eva Uno and Stu Grayson, because that's really the tag team that you think of. That's the original tag team that came out. You can get rid of showing all the minions. I really like that you have 10 and things like that. I think that you could make a case for that, to say the least. Now on to the main event, though, was Chris Jericho and Orange Cassidy. Now, I know Orange Cassidy, he is a big thing. He's a big thing, big deal, with a lot of fans in AEW. And the thing is, and this is my opinion, do I like him? Yes, he's very athletic. I like how they're expanding the character, that he kind of shows emotion at the time. There a couple weeks ago, he acts like he was going to talk, but then he didn't talk. I don't know if I can see him being a world champion, though. And Chris Jericho brought this up on Busted Open one time, that, if your name in the wrestling world, whatever it is, if you can't see that name being attached to being AEW champion for this matter, so let's say Mr. Jamez, your AEW champion, Mr. Jamez. It has a nice ring to it actually. But Orange Cassidy, I can't see them saying, "Oh, your AEW champion, Orange Cassidy." I can see him winning the TNT championship, but I don't think he'll ever achieve being AEW champion. So I think his character definitely needs to evolve in order for that to happen. He was working with the right man. If anybody's going to put you over, even if in a loss, because Orange Cassidy would go on to lose this match, it is Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho is not one to bury talent as far as what I'm concerned. If he's going to beat somebody, he's going to do it by making them look strong. And boy, did Orange Cassidy look very strong in this match. And it was that underdog feel, because Orange Cassidy went in there being the underdog. Everybody knew he was the underdog. So there's no disrespect. I don't mean no disrespect to Orange Cassidy, and no disrespect to Orange Cassidy fans. I'm not bragging up Le Champion so much to the point where I think, because Chris Jericho is playing this very, very good role. He is a veteran. He's an older veteran. Jim Ross loves Chris Jericho. Actually, matter of fact, if you haven't got the book already, Under the Black Hat, I recommend that you go get Under the Black Hat. It's Jim Ross's newest book. It's a very, very good read. I mean, and I got it. And, I'm not a big book reader, but I loved reading this book. And to come to find out that Chris Jericho made the WWE because of Jim Ross. Jim Ross fought for Chris Jericho to come to the WWE, WWF at the time. And when Vince McMahon really didn't want him, but Jim Ross got him on board, and look what Chris Jericho has become. So Chris Jericho is a very well-respected veteran. So going against Chris Jericho really adds a lot to the Orange Cassidy character. It's a lot of vindication saying, you know what, this I'm legit. I'm a legit superstar. I'm a legit wrestler. And they don't call themselves superstars over the AEW. They are wrestlers, athletes, etc. And that's the thing. So that match, if you haven't watched Fyter Fest, you have it on your DVR, I recommend you get to it as soon as possible. Like I said, I need to sit down. I'm going to sit down and I want to watch WWE tonight, and then I'll come back and tell you what I thought of it. But I really think tonight, last night, I should say, Wednesday night, belonged to AEW. There was really no big matches on WWE except for Adam Cole versus Keith Lee, winner takes all match. So I'm really interested to see how that turns out because I'm a big fan of both. And that's the thing, I'm a fan, but I'm also doing these videos and I'm looking at stuff and I'm breaking stuff down. What do I like? What do I don't like? So if you guys have something that you don't like, or you have ideas that you want me to cover in the future, maybe you want me to sit down and watch something, or maybe you want me to talk about a certain stuff going on inside the wrestling business, by all means, leave a message, a comment down below, and when I see it, I will make sure I comment and make sure that I address it, because this, like I said in my description, this is something for everybody. I don't want this to be all about me. I want it to be about you guys. Eventually I want to bring people onto the show, whether it's via phone call, FaceTime, anything like that, so that way you don't have to hear my voice all the time. You have someone else to listen to. I can ask questions to them. What do they think? What do they want to see? But until then, if you have questions, I will address it. And matter of fact, I'll even put it in videos. If I don't get to address it personally through comments, I'll address it personally through the next video. So by all means, if you like this video, if you liked what you've seen, I'm out here sweating. I don't know if you can see the glare. I'm out here sweating. I'm out here sweating for y'all. I'm out here sweating for each and every one of you out here, man. I need some workers' comp, man. This is ridiculous. I'm out here sweating. As you can tell, I'm a big man. Whoo, child. But if you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more videos. Check out my older videos. Here pretty soon, I will be coming out with a Facebook page. And when that happens, I'll make sure I let you know. That way you can give it a like and a follow. You can follow me on Facebook and things like that. So thank you all for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. Like I said, hit the like, hit the subscribe button, and leave comments down below because I want to hear from you most importantly instead of just hearing my own voice. So you all have a great day, and God bless you all.